No one really leaves Darrington. That's the first thing Jessica Morrow heard about the place, something her grandfather used to mumble before he lost his mind. At the time, she chalked it up to dementia or loneliness, but the words haunted her ever since she and her younger brother Tyler inherited his decaying house on the edge of town. Nestled in the hills of western Washington, Darrington was the kind of town that never made the news, never grew in population, and never let go of its dead. It rained the entire drive into town. Not the light drizzle she'd expected, but a constant, heavy, bone-soaking downpour that blurred the windshield and swallowed the headlights whole. They'd been driving for hours, and neither of them had said much since crossing the old wooden bridge that marked the edge of town. Jessica was 26, practical and exhausted. Tyler had just turned 17, and ever since their father's passing, he'd grown increasingly withdrawn. "We're almost there," she said, more to herself than to him. Tyler nodded without looking up from the fogged window. The house came into view like a rotting ship in a sea of trees, 3 stories tall, warped siding, windows boarded unevenly, with moss creeping along its base like the town itself was trying to swallow it. Jessica parked the car and killed the engine. Silence followed, broken only by the relentless hiss of rain on the roof. The sky was a steel gray that never seemed to darken or brighten. "Home sweet home," she muttered. Tyler looked up at the house and said, "It doesn't want us here." Jessica didn't respond. She told herself he was just being dramatic. The will had been simple. The house, the land, and whatever belongings their grandfather left behind were now theirs. Selling it might be tough in this condition, but it was better than nothing. They unpacked what they could before nightfall. Inside, the place smelled of mildew and wet wood. The floors creaked with every step. Most of the furniture was covered in dusty sheets, and the wallpaper peeled like old scabs. There were portraits on the walls, black and white family photos with stiff faces and hollow eyes. Jessica avoided looking at them too long. The first night the power was out. They lit candles and huddled in the living room, listening to the wind whistle through the gaps in the window frames. Jessica couldn't sleep. Not because of the creaking house, but because of the sound she couldn't quite place, like someone crying in the rain. She got up to check, barefoot on the cold wooden floor, and stared out the front window. The street was empty. But somewhere in the distance, she swore she heard a scream. The next day, Jessica went into town for supplies. She left Tyler behind with a flashlight and strict instructions not to go into the basement. It wasn't that she believed in haunted houses or cursed towns. She just didn't trust the crumbling stairs. Darrington looked like a ghost town. The streets were muddy, the shops half abandoned, and the people off. They stared at her too long or not at all. When she entered the corner store, the bell above the door didn't ring. The man behind the counter didn't smile. "You're the Morrow girl?" he asked, as if already knowing the answer. "Yeah," she said. "I'm here to clean out the old house." He nodded slowly and handed her a small stack of candles before she even asked. "You'll need these," he said. "Power comes and goes." Jessica tried to make small talk, but he didn't bite. As she turned to leave, he added, "Don't go walking after dark, especially near the marsh." "There's a marsh?" she asked. He didn't answer. Back at the house, Tyler was standing in the hallway, staring at the basement door. "Something's down there," he said. Jessica sighed. "It's probably raccoons or water damage." Tyler shook his head. "No. It talks when you're asleep." That night the screams came again. Louder. Closer. Jessica sat up in bed and realized they weren't coming from outside. They were coming from below. She got up and opened her bedroom door. Tyler wasn't in his room. She found him downstairs, standing at the top of the basement stairs, barefoot and pale. "They keep asking for me," he whispered. "They say I belong here." Jessica grabbed his arm and yanked him back. "You're sleepwalking." But she knew he wasn't. The rain intensified. It pounded the windows, overflowed the gutters, turned the front yard into a swamp. Jessica tried to call anyone, but there was no signal. The internet was dead. The landline gave nothing but static. She began looking through her grandfather's journals, hoping for answers, and what she found chilled her. Dozens of pages scribbled with the same phrase. It never stops. Never stops. It never stops. The next night, the screaming turned into words. Hers. Taylor's. Her mother's. Her father's. Jessica sat upright in bed and whispered, "You hear that?" Tyler was already awake, staring out the window. "They're under the house," he said. "Drowning but not dying." Jessica decided to confront whatever was in the basement. She waited until morning, lit 2 candles, and slowly opened the creaking door. The stairs groaned as she descended. The air turned cold and damp, like she was walking into a cave. At the bottom, standing water covered the floor. It was deeper than it should have been. The foundation wasn't flooded. It was sunken, like something below had risen to meet her. She stepped closer, candle trembling in her hand, and something moved in the water. Face. No faces. Dozens. Pale, bloated, open-mouthed, eyes wide and black. The drowned. She screamed and scrambled back up the stairs, slamming the door behind her. Tyler was waiting at the top. "They showed you too, didn't they?" he asked calmly. "What are they?" she gasped. "They were us," he said. "People who came here. People who grieved. People who stayed." Jessica pieced it together. The town fed on grief and pain. Her grandfather had lost her grandmother here. Her father never spoke of his childhood. Now she and Tyler were just more fuel for the fire. That night, the basement door opened on its own. Water began seeping into the house. The lights flickered violently. The screams returned, closer than ever. Jessica grabbed Tyler. "We have to go. Now." They ran into the rain. The streets were gone, submerged in water. The whole town was sinking, or had already sunk. Shapes moved beneath the surface, arms reaching up, mouths yawning wide. The only road out was the bridge. They sprinted toward it, rain blinding, thunder booming above them. At the edge of the bridge stood a figure, her grandfather. But he was dead. Jessica froze. He raised one hand and pointed back toward the house. "You have to choose," he said. "One stays. One goes." Jessica turned to Tyler. "We both go," she said. But Tyler shook his head. "I've already been marked. I heard them first. I belong to them now." "No," she cried, grabbing his arm. "We go together." But Tyler stepped back. "If one of us doesn't stay, the screaming never stops. It follows you forever." He turned and walked into the water. The figures accepted him silently. Jessica screamed his name as the town vanished beneath the surface. When she woke, she was in a hospital bed. They said she was found wandering near the state highway, half drowned, incoherent. No sign of her brother. No record of a town called Darrington. No house. No marsh. Nothing. But sometimes when the rain is heavy and the night is quiet, she hears it again, faint, far away. Scream. Voice. Name. Because the rain never stops.